All right, welcome to the 2021 AUD meeting to review the 2020, early 2021 expenses that will be submitted to the state. We will waive the pledge since this is a special meeting and just go right to the review of the document.
Okay, which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with the smaller one, the youth one.
Okay,
We knocked that one out, so it's all yours, Les.
okay, youth one is not much there. Basically, like I said, you've seen all this stuff with your balance sheets and operating statements every meeting. Balance sheets, the youth ended the year with $1,303. That's on page 3. And they had some accounts payable that they owed, which would be their bills that we paid in June. And accrued liabilities is what they owe the general fund, the money we've given to them in the past. Deferred inflows is money that I received for camp. And I received that in April and May, so it's got to be referred to as deferred inflows. And that, so therefore, your fund balance is a minus 4,682, and that's money they owe. Take away the money that they have. That's basically it. And the page 5 starts the just the revenues and expenses, which would be like your operating statements. Then you want to fund balance and budget summary, that type of thing. So that's it. The youth. A lot of wasted paper too.
We gotta have all those blank pages in there.
Gotta have it. Any questions on the youth?
The park and recreational charges on page 5, is that like the pavilion at Lake Lauderdale?
No. Well, yes, it will be part of it. And it's all, anything else that we've spent
Okay,
for the youth through the year.
like what?
Rent?
Oh, no,
Well, no,
that.
that comes at rental.
Oh, you're talking about revenue. Yeah, I'm sorry. Revenue. Park and recreational charge. Actually, I think it's,
Is that the town's contribution?
no, I think it's what we collect for the,
Oh, summer camp.
summer camp and.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Like I
The
said.
revenue. I know it's hard when the
Yeah,
AUD
okay.
lines don't match up with the way we
what we
budget,
normally-
our budget
Yeah.
lines, yeah.
I
Thank
could
you.
probably find a way to change that too. But I think it's all the revenue coming
Okay,
from
got
the youth, whether it be after school or, well, summertime.
Yeah, the park threw me off. I thought.
Yeah.
Yes, those are titles that the state gives everything.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we move on to the general fund?
Move on to the, not just the general fund, it's.
Well, it's all, yeah, it's
Everything
all,
else.
it's everything.
Everything else.
Agency, yeah. Library, the library in that one?
Libraries in this next one, yes. And we started with the general fund though,
Yes.
on this, in this report.
Okay.
And which would be on page 3. And we ended the year with $335,518. Plus special reserves of $101,219. page 3.
It's plus.
Now, if we switch over to the next page, on page 4, we got accounts payable. These are bills that were gonna be paid in June for that year, 41,000.
Paid in June, but for me is bills, so they're included in the.
Right. Right. And it shows under fund balance capital reserve, 101,000, which is on the previous page. Assigned appropriated fund balance of $50,000, which is what we put in for the budget. And then the unassigned fund balance is $256,807, which we proceeded to spend right away.
Right, because that's the 230,000 for the air packs.
Yes.
We ordered them in the current year, but the bill did not come to us till July, so that 256, 230 of that was air pack money.
And when do we find out if the grant will cover that?
Still waiting, I keep checking with Nash.
It should be anytime though, right?
It should be, they've already started doing the smaller grants, but he said they were only like a third of the way through their grants when he had last checked. Keeping my fingers crossed.
It'll be a nice Christmas present.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
say good.
Just means you won't be broke. And starting on page 5, we have the revenues, starting with the revenues and expenses.
Just to have you go back to page 4, Les. So the total fund balance, 408,026.
Yes,
And I'm sorry for my confusion, that should be $230,000 less because of the air packs?
no, it's not less because this is as of 5/31.
Gotcha.
All right. If we had bought the air packs in May,
Yes.
then it would be 230,000 less.
All right.
When we bought them when?
I think it was June or July.
The bill didn't
Okay.
come in, I don't think, till
Yeah.
July, because we ordered them right at the end of April there, so they'd be here for May.
And actually, we could have done a accounts payable or accrued liability, whatever, but I didn't do that. I didn't want to leave us with a fund balance of $20,000.
Yeah, the 408 is the sum total of the 256, 50,000 aside and 101 restricted.
Yes, you got it. You got it. Like I said, the revenue and expenses are the same thing as what the operating statement would be for May. Probably not the one I gave you, because I think I've made changes since then, but one thing about the annual update, that we have to do editing all the time. And if something is off just a little bit, they flag it and let you know, you did something wrong. Because it all adds up for your fund balance and all that stuff.
What's the relationship between the snow removal in the general and like the work that the DPW does?
Snow removal in the general is what the DPW does.
Okay, that's like all the snow removal for the whole village?
That's what we spent, yes. For the expense, yes.
When we have to bring in, so when we do the snow removal, we contract out big dump trucks, because we don't have the dump trucks.
Okay, so this is just for the dump trucks?
We have
Dump
to
trucks and
pay
snow
for
removal.
the dump trucks
Salt.
and any equipment and labor that we have to bring in to do it, flaggers.
Okay.
If it's more than what the DPW does.
It just, okay, got it. So this is above and beyond.
This isn't just for them plowing.
Right,
This is
right.
for, yeah, actually taking it away out.
Okay,
Yeah, this is the
Out of the
contractual, not
village.
personnel.
Okay,
Right.
it just seemed low compared to how
2,000.
much snow we get.
Because we really only got that one big storm in December,
Yeah.
and I only think they maybe,
One, two,
I think that was maybe twice that they actually did
Well, the year before, we only spent $1,800.
full
Yeah.
snow
So
removal.
it's still more than last year.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we've been very fortunate with snow.
thank you.
So that is a good thing about.
That's the thing, you never know, in some years, it can just snow all the time and totally blow your budget.
Yes. I can't remember what was normally budgeted for that, but it's a lot more than this.
Yeah, because we do get reimbursed for the stretch on Main Street.
Yes,
from
for the
state.
picking up the
For
snow.
the
yes.
snow pickup on that stretch, we
Yes.
do. We don't on the other side roads, but down Main Street we do.
Do you know why the franchises number dropped year to year on page 5 for Time Warner? Did
Less people have it.
just less, is that what
I
was
mean,
it?
yeah, it's not anything we set, I don't think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. A lot of people going to Hulu and all those other
Right.
streaming devices.
Gotcha.
versus Time
That
Warner.
makes sense. Yep.
Well, that's a good, noticing the trend, because I didn't really pay attention to that, so it's something we probably should pay attention to in budget time, how that is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Less people are
Yeah.
doing it.
I had a similar question to that, was the mortgage tax. That had gone up from 13,000 to like 17,000. I'm wondering with our current boom and all the new houses that are being built, if we might actually get it. I mean, it's not gonna be a $20,000 increase, but we
I
might
wouldn't
see a
adjust the budget accordingly.
Right, but we
Yeah.
might see a
Yeah.
$4,000 or $5,000 increase out of that.
Yeah, between refinancing and sale of homes,
Yeah,
a lot quicker.
yeah,
A lot of homes used to be on the market for a year. now.
yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
not only are they not on the market, but they're getting sold, but they're getting sold for more.
For more, yes.
So the mortgages are bigger.
I know my daughter, of course, lives in Oregon, and she bought a townhome 5 years ago, I'll say, and I think she had to pay $25,000 more than what was asked for. It was only on the market for 3 days. Wow. So if she wanted it, she had to, up her bid. Well, she turned around and sold it for $40,000 more than what she paid for it, 2 years later.
Yeah.
That's how you're
All of the world
supposed to
are-
do
That's how it's, yes. Smart. And the AIM-related payments and revenue, that's money we get from the county now. The state doesn't give it to us anymore. That's why they changed the coding of that to 2750. It comes from the county, not the state. Come as part of the sales tax, extra sales tax on the internet tax. That sales tax
We're
comes
getting,
in.
because COVID, people were ordering more online, state too.
Well, I think they changed the
Well, our
law,
AIM
so
money is still roughly the same.
used to be the sales tax, and if you bought it online, you didn't pay
Zero.
sales tax.
Right.
But now you do have to. So that, because everybody's getting extra money, they said, "Yeah, you can pay the state.
They stopped paying it, pushed it off on the counties to
Oh.
pick up that.
Almost.
Nice.
Why, what's he gonna do, take your birthday away, Les?
You might. Well, actually, he's not gonna do
Exactly.
All right.
it. The gimmicks.
Any other questions on the general?
And the consolidated highway aid dropped, did we talk about that a little while ago?
What page?
On 5, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
That is the money we put in for CHIPS funding for what Maddie did.
Okay,
And actually, yeah, it did drop because the governor would only pay 80%
Last year, yeah.
okay.
of what we got. He held the other.
Oh, on page 7, I noticed this when I was looking at it earlier. The at the top, the street lighting went from 32,000 to 22,000. I'm guessing that's because we have LED lighting.
I'm thinking, I'm guessing that's a good job, that's
That's a
substantial.
nice, that's a
Yeah, that's
significant
good
drop.
to see. Because we were looking for that, remember?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
harder to pick
Hard to
out in the
It's
actual
really hard to look when you look
bills.
at the bills,
Mhm.
when you see the total, that's good. Great.
It's harder to see in the individual bills because some months they charge more for the same water, you know how they increase their rates in the winter and summer.
Right.
So seeing the actual end of year totals for what was spent on those really shows you
Yeah, that's like a third.
$10,000.
So what about the
Savings.
sidewalks? It went from 6807 to
Yeah,
252.
we didn't do anything with sidewalks, because I think Maddie was sick.
The
Um,
street
I thought
lighting,
did
are you
some
looking?
street
Sidewalks.
lighting.
She's looking at the street lighting one.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you were looking at sidewalks, I thought that's what I
it
was.
says
I'm not sure what lights they
sidewalks under street lighting, I guess.
separate. Oh, I wonder if that's the
See
traffic
that?
light.
6807, 252.
Yeah, the sidewalks.
I think Maddie was sick and out of commission
Is that
last
street
year.
lighting sidewalk?
No, no,
just
we're talking about the
sidewalk.
lighting
What
cost.
she was just talking about, the
That's
numbers, that-
sidewalks, yeah,
sidewalk,
okay.
right
So,
underneath that.
I thought I'd done a lot of
This is
repairs on
2020,
sidewalks.
this was summer of 2020.
Yes,
Maddie
this
was ill
was,
for a while.
this would have been from June of
Oh,
2020
oh,
to, or, yeah, June of
Yeah.
2020 to May 31st of this year.
okay,
So
Then you can
2020, we didn't,
all right.
DPW didn't do as much last year because of,
Because we lost our foreman. and
Yeah.
our-
for the month of
Superintendent
August and
was
part
out
of
for-
September.
That's a
and-
Same
substantial amount though.
Yeah, same time, actually.
So next year we need to keep it. in
I
the
think we
budget.
did more,
I think
I think
might
we
have
did
increased
more
last
in
year.
this summer. I
We
think
did a lot,
to try to catch up for what they didn't do last year.
so we need to keep the budget probably the same.
Yeah.
Okay, I read through this today, and it's not really jumped out at me. so.
Pardon?
Same.
Yes,
It
thank you
not
for
really
pointing
jumped
out
out
the
at me.
street
Thank you
lighting.
for having one ready
That
for
was-
us, by
Oh,
the way.
you're welcome.
You made it a little bit easier.
It made some of the last year's events
A
a little bit worth it.
Right. Medical went down too. Dental insurance, employee benefits, that went down.
Unemployment insurance,
Hospital and medical.
hospital medical went in.
Well, that's part of it, because I went off the plan.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
also lost Logan and didn't have a full timer
Right.
on it for that
Okay.
stretch till
We lost Phil
this
Seeker,
winter,
Okay,
would have fallen off as well.
Now we've got, I think it's just 4 people on the insurance now.
Any other questions on the general? You are always able to continue to reach out to Les if you get home and start looking at more lines and say, what does that one mean? What does that one mean?
Yep, anytime.
He'll gladly answer those questions.
You just don't need to put it off.
I still do. And page 9 is the fund balance, and that just coincides with general fund balance sheet.
okay, yeah.
And then projected summer or budget, which we done. Page 12 starts the landfill, refuse and garbage. Cash balance on hand, $9,213.
That's the money that comes in from the towns to do the yearly testing for the landfill.
Well, it's money that we had to begin with, yes.
Right, but that's what that account is used
Yes,
for.
right,
We
right.
we
Yeah.
don't typically use it other than the yearly
That's the
testing.
only thing.
That's the only
we use it for.
thing,
Yeah.
Could we grab that fund balance ever if we needed to?
No,
No, it's not our money.
it's
It's not
not,
ours.
right, it's to monitor the
paid into us
landfill.
by the towns.
Gotcha.
We're like the middleman for the landfill up there,
Gotcha.
so they all pay us and then we pay the testing people.
Because somehow when they shut down the landfill, it's the village property, the village owns it and monitors it, but the towns, because they utilize it, have to pay for that testing to continue.
Every time we get a bill, Lance will he's got a formula, sends it out to, 30% for this one, 30% for that town, 20% for whatever.
And the towns did put in a request this year to DEC if it was possible to go down to
And they
one monitoring instead of 2 times a year. And DEC did grant that and felt that
Oh, good.
they could do it once, so that will decrease the cost a little bit.
One thing I did do, I don't know, was it this year, last year, year before, I stopped collecting interest. Put the interest in the general fund. Because I don't want to give them 17 cents every quarter, every month. So I just said, we'll leave it with the general fund. Small price to pay for us doing the work. Mm,
3 pages for the trash, geez.
Well, there's a lot of, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of wasted
Oh my
paper in
God.
this. This is state.
Okay.
All right, starting page 17 is the capital projects. And that would be every capital project we had, including, I don't think the firehouse, the money is here, but didn't spend much money for that.
Not yet.
Not yet, well,
It's all
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I just signed some audited.
It's like the
bills.
vouchers, yep.
Let's go, we're starting.
One thing I was gonna ask. Empire State is our clerk of the works.
Yes.
Do they look at the bills before we get them?
Yes, both Rich and Steve go through and assess the bills prior to sending them to us.
Okay, all right, I didn't see any names on there, so I said, I just saw the architect, I saw that. Okay,
Yeah, they go through, they have to actually sign off and approve them for the contractors prior to them coming into us.
okay, cool, all right.
Checking balances.
Sometimes it just seems a little redundancy between the architect
Yeah,
and doing it,
but maybe one doesn't catch the other well,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
2 points.
But, let's see, I think capital projects this last year was wastewater study, that type of thing is what we've done.
But we actually, that wouldn't be on here because we didn't get the bill until we just paid it last month.
Well, last year, I think we did do something, initial 30,000 maybe, or whatever.
We voted to do that in last year's meeting, but we actually didn't get the bill for it till just this last month. We paid that 15, we paid half of it.
Didn't we have a study done before then? Or was that a
That
whole
was,
separate facility?
that would have wrapped up in 2019. The state paid for that one.
All right,
But it was 30,000 that the state did pay for.
On page 18 of the capital projects balance
Mhm.
sheet, the unassigned fund balance, the negative 195,833,
Yeah.
that's what we paid out of the general fund, right?
that's really not even what we've paid. Capital projects are always gonna have a negative fund balance.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it's hard for me to even understand what it is. Tell the truth. I mean, we've got $140,000 in payables too, so that would add to that.
Gotcha.
So the fund balance is your assets minus your liabilities.
Right, so if you take that 3.7 and deduct the 3,504,167, that gives you 195,833.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause, you know, the fund balance is 3.5 million, but 3.7 is committed to being
Right.
spent, so. It's committed,
It's all committed.
just like that.
No, we should.
Should be.
Are we concerned that it's negative?
No,
It's not negative, so I know, it's hard to explain, so 3.7 is what we committed
Right.
to doing. We're down to 3.5 because we
Okay.
spent stuff.
Got it.
So that's the difference, and that 195, that includes some of the accounts payable, is that correct?
Yes.
That's, okay.
Okay.
the accounts payable and bond.
Which it seems weird that we have 3.7 to start, but you take away 195 in expenses, that doesn't give you a negative number, but it
Right.
does in fund balance because you're spending it as opposed to adding it.
Okay.
It's-
I know, it's a little,
And actually, this also would include all the capital project with all our bands that we had, 1-year loans that we paid every year,
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
included in here. Which we're getting rid of, I think there's only one left.
so like, for instance, next year, we should end the whole 3.7 negative fund balance because we spent all the money in the project. There is no money left over to spend.
Okay.
There's no fund balance. There shouldn't be a fund balance. I mean, if we spend less and have some savings left, money left over after this
But
project,
Good luck with
would
that.
be great. But
Like you said,
we plan on spending 3.7, therefore there shouldn't be any money left over at the end of the year in the capital account.
like you said, your bids were higher than what the 3.7
Right,
was.
correct.
Page 22 is our general fixed assets, which is just what we pay for land and buildings and some of the machinery and equipment that we bought over the years. Land and buildings don't change, probably. Buildings will next year, because it will add the firehouse, so that will be $3.7 million more. Minus what we sell the old firehouse for if we sell it.
Oh, yeah, we're selling it.
That's the plan. So that's what that is. Then on page 24, we start with the library.
The numbers on page 22, these are how much these things are worth now,
No.
or how much we
No.
paid for them?
Historical cost. Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing about government accounting. It's all historical. There's no appreciation or depreciation. Which makes it a little easier.
Sure.
In theory, what I do is if say we started machinery with 2,164,000 and we bought a truck for 300,000, then it'd be 2,464,000.
But once we
Take it off,
deem something as
surplus, or
surplus and sell it, then it comes off of that list.
comes off at what we paid for.
Yes.
Yes, we don't lose what we sold before we lose what it was worth
Yes.
in the
Right.
number.
And actually, these don't mean anything. to tell you the truth. Just-
Yeah, these numbers are really, they don't.
But the state likes to see it.
They want to.
Right, against an asset, we have, our assets do help our borrowing power.
I guess. And going back up to the general fund a little bit, we'll come into here, the trust, well, let me go with, hold on. Let's do the library first. Cash on hand, library is $51,364.
Is it higher than last
Yeah, it's a big jump.
year? Yeah.
It's because they weren't open.
They didn't spend as much, they didn't have.
Oh,
Yeah, they weren't paying employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And I
60
just,
months of
Human
25
resources
that were
payroll
closed.
and
just got their yearly appropriation from the school today too, so we just added 58,000 to it. They didn't even ask, they didn't increase what they asked for this year either, because they didn't spend as much last year. Accounts payable, 1,051 for bills that are going out, and unsigned, signed up unappropriated fund balance of 50,315. And 26 starts the revenue and expenses.
So the library charges down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
They didn't collect any money, I mean, I'm putting
Yeah.
$30 a month in the bank or whatever, you know.
I think they're looking at getting rid of that as well.
Mhm.
So a lot of
Free.
libraries are starting to press, maybe not going to fines.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm in favor of that.
I don't either, because it's like a
Well, you
bookstore.
have
free
some
bookstore.
motivation to bring the book back,
I
the
know.
movie back. The movies is where they get you.
Good, yeah.
You keep one of those a little bit over, that's,
Really?
oh yeah,
We're talking about
I don't do that anymore.
talking about the fines in Hudson Falls Library.
It's a nightmare when I get my children at home.
Page 29 is the trust and agency account. This is what I was just starting to say. The state in their infinite wisdom is taking this out. All those numbers are now in the general fund.
Oh.
Why? I don't know. I'm not, I don't know what the purpose is. You're still paying it out of this bank account? This
Oh, that's
account?
interesting.
Yeah.
Was it just this year they switched to that?
Yes. yeah,
Okay.
sure. And they give you all the accounts and all that stuff, but it's, you know, they're, like, the number would be the same.
Yeah. I mean, you only use the TNA account to transfer the funds that pay for the insurance and,
TNA fund is just for payroll
yep,
and the liabilities that come with payroll. Social Security, health insurance, Aflac, whatever's taken out of their paycheck goes into TNA. Plus whatever the village pays for health insurance. They wouldn't even let me enter anything. I was confused on that. I said, why can't I enter any numbers?
long-term debt on page 31, you'll notice that lovely jump, and that's the firehouse.
That's the firehouse.
That's the firehouse.
27.
Firehouse, police car, and, payload. I think is all in there. And that net pension liability proportionate share, $96,000, I think that's a joke. I have to look that up on the state retirement site, and I have no idea what it means, but they tell us what it is. It's
Where is that?
on page 32.
So yeah, because 2020 was 449 and now it's 96.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
my
so I don't understand any of that. But they tell me what it is,
Net
and hopefully,
liability.
Tell me what it is.
they do, I have to print it off and put that in.
That's our.
And hopefully, I looked at that and I said, because of the discrepancy, I called the county treasurer and said, yeah, look at these numbers.
Yeah.
Am I using the right ones? He said, yeah, it looks like it. So, okay. You know, say, all these, they get a feather bed their jobs or something, I don't know. You can put that on YouTube, that's all right. That's what I said. Page 33 is what our debt is.
So the highway truck will be paid off,
Yes.
or was on the 8th, you have on the 8th, did we make that payment yet? Yeah, for September 8th.
Yes, we did. Yep, that's all
And then
paid off.
December, the snow tractor will be done. And then, December of 22 will be the police car. And the firehouse will be done in 2046.
We're almost there.
Don't hurry.
Blink of an eye, right? Blink of an eye.
I get to see it.
I won't. And that is it for reports of payments schedule, I guess. And supplemental, all the supplemental statements. Bank reconciliations around 36. $38 is some of the employee benefits. And that's it. That's it. Any questions? Any more questions?
Have we ever been audited by the state?
Yes.
Carmen's first year,
It
before,
was, I was elected mayor right in the middle of a state audit.
We actually didn't do our AUD for, what was it, 4 or 5 years?
yeah, like several years.
It was-
Yeah, we went like 4 or 5 years.
That was the red flag.
That was the red flag, and the state came in and said, and they came through and did an audit, and we were in pretty rough shape, but we weren't as bad a shape as we could have been, I would say.
That wasn't necessarily that wasn't the trigger wasn't not doing it, the trigger was all of a sudden doing it
When
in
you did it.
2014.
Ah,
So the year I came as a trustee, we had the accountant come in and started working on AUD prep.
Mhm.
So they did it and so every time we submit an AUD, they take these numbers and give us our rating. And it shows what kind of condition you are in. Well, that AUD that happened flagged us. We were rated bad. That's what triggered them to come in because they felt we were in fiscal distress. So the fiscal distress was what triggered.
It was funny when the first
Them
year
coming in.
that I did it, I called the gal from the comptroller's office who did it, actually did it in Glens Falls. I said, can I use your numbers as a base thing? She said, no, because they're not right. And that was because she did the report for us.
And really, essentially, what we had to do was take all the accounts and turn back to 0 and just say, well, we're starting over again.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
Yeah, because they did, it was your first year that you
It went from
did
pencil ledgers
computerized.
to, and then that person no longer did it because we couldn't get them to use the computer program. Then the person that came in to do it wasn't really versed and ready to go digging into the forensics that they needed to get to the bottom of it. So they never caught back up. And then they ended up moving on, and then
Well,
Les came in.
I don't think since we got computers here, I don't think anybody that's been here knew how to use the computer software.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, was the software just confused.
I mean, like when Bethany was here, she says, well, they trained. I said, yeah, but they were wrong. They didn't know themselves. They're training it wrong to begin with. So it wasn't necessarily your fault. It was
So
how
I
you-
So it was
think-
6
I
months.
think the
we had an
village learned a very hard
accountant
lesson that when you find a treasurer, you need to have somebody
Yeah.
with some kind of municipal experience and not just somebody who's kept books for businesses on the streets.
Yeah.
Or-
because it's all
Because-
different.
It's different.
Well, they're
Don't hire the
both.
mayor's friends.
Municipal is way
Pretty
different
much.
than,
Well, when I, to be honest, to give you an example, when I started in August and May, the end of the fiscal year, I think our bank statement said we had about $2,000 in the bank with a lot of bills to pay. And our balance sheet said we had $2 million or $1 million or something like that.
that was like right before.
Yeah, it's a red flag, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Really,
And that was also the year that there were some fines from IRS that was paid out of the trust and agency money, which that wasn't supposed to be paid out of the trust and agency money, because that was money to be paid in taxes, and we got, yeah, it was, Les unweaved a,
I tried to redo a lot of it,
Mess of
and I
stuff.
couldn't. So finally, I just called the owner of the software company, I said, give me a clean slate, start all over. I said, I can't do it.
and so then you just
I
take
can't
bank
fix-
statements.
Yeah.
Because nothing was consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
I mean, when I looked and I saw, money you put in the trust and agency is just for payroll, for your transfer. Well, when I see something out of the savings account to the trust and agency for $100,000, I said, I don't think so. Something not right. Where did that number come from? Because it was never transferred timely.
Well, and stuff was getting moved around without motions and stuff like that, 'cause they didn't know.
There's no way to track.
But I believe since Les has everything straightened out, our rating is probably one of the higher in the state.
We are doing, so I forget when last year I pulled what our rating was. Looks like if you hit 50, you're like on the board and need to be audited and the state needs to come in, and we were what, 9 last
Yeah, it
time?
was really good.
Which it went 14, that 13 going into 14, we were at 56. And we were at 56 that year I took over, and then we've gone down incrementally.
But now
It's a
if
nine.
we had put
And it's
in,
good to go down.
Yes, if you
Yes.
wanna go lower.
It's like a golf score, you know?
Yeah.
if we had put in that we owe $230,000 for these airbags in this report,
Right, our
Probably would
rating
be
would be
audited
bumped
again.
up a little
it's like,
bit, yeah.
why do you now have a fund balance of $20,000? You would have been audited. I think.
So they wanna see that you have a good fund balance and you're paying your, like, they have whole metrics that they determine, are you in, fiscal stress?
Yes.
So, and then the state comptroller gave us a whole report of things to change. That'll help make, because that's the thing, when they rolled in here, they had no documents to find any of this. So why is so-and-so making this pay rate, but so-and-so's making this? There was no documents. And that's why we do in our budget every year now, schedule of salaries and wages. That came as a recommendation from the state comptrollers. So that way, when they do roll in for an audit, they can say, oh, so-and-so makes this. Our book shows so-and-so got paid this, yeah, so it's been a work in progress, but
It has,
got us on the right
I
track.
think we're okay now.
Yeah,
If we get this grant.
but we still ended with 20, we weren't in the hole,
No, no,
so
no.
that's the biggest thing, is not ending in the holes.
Do you wanna do a
Yeah, we need a
motion?
motion to adjourn.
No, we have to.
Can we-
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, we didn't do it,
Yeah,
sorry. Let's just adjourn. So do we have a motion to approve the AUD for the fiscal year 2021 for youth and village funds as submitted?
No, we didn't do any changes, so.
No, yeah, we left it.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so we got Amy,
I'll second the motion.
Lance, let me give you a recap, because he's really paying attention to everything, so.
per report.
Any further discussion?
Okay, you need all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Okay, now you can do one to adjourn.
and now do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you all for, like I
All those
said,
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
if anybody has any further questions, just shoot me an email or
You
call
want
me
to shut
or.
that off?
Thank you.
Les, thank you, I know it's not a
Thank you.
Wes?
pleasant experience every year to have to go through that.
Actually, I've made it a little easier, 'cause